I was 6 years old, and suddenly my eyes shot open in the middle of the night, and I was up. Maybe because of some noise I heard, or because of some silent order I had given my brain earlier in the night. But it was 3 a.m. Christmas morning, and I was awake, ready to be up to no good. I slipped out of my bed, I put on my robe and my slippers. I slowly opened my door so as to avoid the telltale creak that might wake up my parents, and I made my way in the dark through the hallway and down the stairs, feeling the way with my hands against the wall and my feet against the stair steps. It was pitch black. But when I got downstairs to the living room, the colored outdoor lights from a neighbor's trees spilled just enough light through our picture window so I could make out silhouettes in the living room. The long rectangular shape of our couch, the soft curves of an easy chair, the long leggy expanse of our piano. But mostly what I could see were stacks and stacks of little boxy shapes. There were 9 of us who celebrated Christmas in that household, and our tradition was that everyone gave a gift to everyone else. That's 72 gifts just to start with, not including multiple gifts from Mom and Dad and whatever Santa might bring for us. So that's a lot of boxes stacked on one another, little squares and rectangles resting on top of each other like 9 giant Jenga games going on all at the same time. That's what I saw. But then my eyes rested on something else, a series of shapes that stood out from the sea of boxes. A circle on either end, joined by straight lines and angled tubes that held them apart, topped off by an overripe banana shape with up-curving bars lifting up above on either side. You know what I saw. A bicycle. This is the thing that I had wanted so badly that I couldn't even ask for it that Christmas, not straight out. And if my eyes could be trusted, there it was in all its shadowy wonder, a bike. And you know what I did next? I turned around and I walked right back upstairs and carefully and quietly back into bed. I stopped my late night naughtiness and worked on my surprised look for the morning. I wanted to be a child who was worthy of such a great gift. That's the best present I ever got at Christmas. What about you? What's the best present you ever got? Who gave it to you? What made it so great? I want you to turn to somebody in the row ahead or behind, and in groups of 3 or 4, share about a great Christmas gift that you got. Go ahead. For years and years after the late service on Christmas Eve, we would pack the kids in the car, wearing their pajamas and swaddled in blankets and pillows, and make the 4 or 5 hour drive back to Mom and Dad's house, usually getting there at about 2 in the morning. This was the house we wanted to wake up in on Christmas morning, so we did it. All right, I should say my spouse did it. I usually was dead tired and fell asleep after about an hour into the drive. One Christmas Eve, or I should say one early Christmas morning, we had arrived about 2, and I was awoken by the sound of crying at about 4. I checked the kids one by one, but it wasn't any of them. It was my mother. She was in the living room, crying. Every Christmas, since as long as I can remember, we shared our house with my unmarried aunt and uncle, Mom's siblings from the Jenks side of the family, reserved and conservative Yankee English types that seemed like they had wandered out of an Ann Tyler novel and into our house. And this was the first Christmas after my Uncle Franklin's death. That's why Mom was crying. So I listened at 4 in the morning to a story of Mom's family I hadn't really heard before, how Uncle Franklin was the sibling that she could count on in a pretty crazy household. And I realized that family is not just a present arrangement, but a lifelong commitment for better or for worse. And you might as well make it for better. Mom bought me hundreds of Christmas gifts over the years, and now, 9 years after her death, I can't remember much of any of them. But I do remember that early, dark Christmas morning and how she gave me a strange Christmas gift that has stayed with me and meant so much to me. I know you've received strange Christmas gifts too, and I'm not talking about gag gifts or ones you couldn't figure out or put together. Strange as in unexpected, in a surprising form that caught you unawares, but came to mean something to you. So I invite you to take a few moments to again turn to your neighbors and in groups of 2 or 3, share our gifts of strange Christmas presents. One year when I was in college, I determined that I wouldn't buy regular gifts for those closest to me, I couldn't afford it anyways, but would write a poem for each, seeking to capture in verse the deep love and affection that I held them in. Across the shining firmament of life's restless passion, one of them began, or something like that, there is a blazing comet of cosmic love that makes the setting sun blush in shame and the stars cease their twinkling in breathless wonder. Honestly, I don't remember what exactly was in those poems. Something terrible and terribly pretentious, I'm sure, and I trust that they have all been safely destroyed years ago. But I do remember that as I wrote poem after poem, their already flawed qualities slipped deeper and deeper into exhaustion. And by the end, I think I wrote something like, roses are red, violets are blue, the rest got a poem, now you did too. So, that was the end of my college-aged quest to give the perfect Christmas gift. I would imagine you've taken up that quest yourself from time to time, expectantly watching the face of your loved one as they unwrap your perfect little treasure. You expect the big reveal to be met with a smile like a sunrise, joyous and bright. Instead, your loved one furrows their brow and says, "I don't get it." And you start an exchange with them that usually ends with something like, "Well, then I will never give you another gift ever again. I hate you." Then again, my household might have a bit more drama than yours. In any event, there are some gifts that we just can't give. A perfect gift that just can't come from us. Gifts that only God can give. And no matter the buying, baking, composing, decorating, our efforts alone will always fall short. God always brings something special to the Christmas party. And a reading from Joel this morning, it seems to me, lets you know what that is. So when trying to figure out what the prophets are really saying, one big hint is to look for the repeated phrase. So here's the heart of our passage once again. You shall eat in plenty and be satisfied and praise the name of the Lord your God, who has dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never again be put to shame. You shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I, the Lord, am your God, and there is no other, and my people shall never again be put to shame. You heard the repeated phrase? And my people shall never again be put to shame. That's the real issue here, according to Joel. Shame. Shame. You remember the distinction between guilt and shame. Guilt means you did something wrong. Shame means you are something wrong. Guilt can be rectified through corrective action. Shame can never be taken away because you're just plain wrong, broken, bad. And my prophet shall never again, and my people shall never again be put to shame. Never again, the prophet tells us. Do we need to experience that sense that we cannot be corrected, that we cannot be rectified, redeemed, or renewed? Never again will we need to feel like our nation is irretrievably lost and broken. Never again do we need to feel the paralyzing powerlessness of shame. That's the gift that only God can give us. God's love restores what is broken. God's care finds what is lost. God's future gives hope to the hopeless. God's presence accepts the unacceptable. We hang our banners, we light our candles, we give our gifts, we use the words love, peace, hope, joy, because we want and need those gifts so much. We can barely even name them. We need them to heal our brokenness, to restore our spirits, to cast out our shame. And God comes. God comes bearing a child in the sleepy town of Bethlehem. God comes bearing good gifts in the dark of the night. God comes in ways strange and unanticipated to overcome the shame of the nation, the shame of the people. God comes in bread and fruit of the vine, passing mercy from person to person to person, sharing love from friend to friend. Christ calls to us. Come to the table. God has a gift for you. Let's sing together.